paint. They color correct the truth till it fades away. Face on Mars stares back with ancient eyes. Pyramids rising where the dead wind cries. Cylinders gleaming in the rover's glare. Stone circles standing like they don't belong there. Brian Corey Dobbs got the footage on lock. John Ward slicing through the pixels non-stop. Sahara Cosmos, Ricardo Calvario, Jason Huffman, Shaman, 7-Eleven, Alexander Cheskiewicz. We're all in. Mars Disclosure Live, ripping the lies apart tonight. Pyramids on Mars, life in the dirt, ancient cities buried. Feel the hurt. Mars Disclosure Live, truth is burning through the red sky. We expose the history, the nuked out past, potential for life. It's ours at last. It's ours at last. Xenon 1289 still ringing in the air. Somebody glassed the planet, left it bare. Blue planet red, got the proof on film. Independent eyes, we overwhelm. Rovers catch the shadows, artifacts in frame. They call it geology, we call it shame. Mars Disclosure Live, ripping the lies apart tonight. Pyramids on Mars, life in the dirt, ancient cities buried. Feel the hurt. Mars Disclosure Live, truth is burning through the red sky. We expose the history, the nuked out past.
Sponsored by Spores MD for your personal mind-body wellness journey.
Woo! Let's go! Greetings, humans, for another episode of Mars Disclosure Live. I am Dave, your host of Dave's Multiverse, and your host for today's episode of Deep Dives into Mars Mysteries. All right, first up, we got our producer, Megan Gibson, better known as Miss.
I keep hearing double voices, double echo. What's going on?
I don't know, but
Gary,
it'll go away.
just mute your microphone for now, Gary.
Yeah. Okay, first up, our producer, Megan Gibson, better known as Indonesia Jones, keeps the energy high and the conversation flowing. How's it going? Megan, welcome back to Mars Disclosure Live.
Yeah, good. Happy to be here. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, today we're talking about remote viewing Mars, and our special guest has a pyramid on Mars he's going to show us. Next up, we've got Alexander Cheskiewicz, my friend and producer of Dave's Multiverse and author of Deja Vu, Has Everything Already Been? Got sharp insights into time, lost civilizations, and forgotten global heritage, all the way from Poland, late at night. How's it going, man?
Thanks for having me on again. Can't wait for today. I really like psychic stuff, remote viewing, so wanna be here today with you. Thank you.
Yeah, man. We just interviewed Dr. Allison Brown, who's deep dives into all this stuff with us, releasing next week on Dave's Multiverse. So look out for that. And I think she's going to be doing something with Brian here soon too. So next up, we have Sahara Cosmos, Director of Public Relations for the Institute for Natural Philosophy and host of the Universe Unveiled podcast. She's going live for her second time today, I believe, because she just did the news, didn't you?
I sure did. It's pod day all day today.
Let's go. Welcome back. Next up, from the Institute for Natural Philosophy, I believe the president, did I get that right? President of the Institute for Natural Philosophy and co-host of the Shaman and Philosopher podcast, brings a dynamic and unconventional approach to ancient history and resonant philosophies. Ricardo, are you still in Portugal, buddy?
Yeah, I'm still in Portugal. Good evening, everybody.
Welcome from Portugal. What the hell time is it in Portugal?
Now it's 9:07 p.m.
So we got Canadian, we got the United States, we got Poland, we got Portugal up in here to explore these Mars mysteries. Looking forward to that. We've also got the legendary John Ward, a leading independent Mars researcher and graphic designer who excels at uncovering anomalous structures and potential artifacts in NASA's Mars imagery. Brother, you're going to be doing an episode on of Dave's Multiverse soon. We're recording that in a couple weeks. I'm looking forward to that. Also looking forward to your insights tonight. Welcome back.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for the introduction, and greetings from South Africa, where it's 10:08 p.m.
So we got 4 countries. Is that right?
Can't
We're
forget
all
South
over, we're all over the world tonight, and bringing us all together, and really looking at this from a 1,000-foot lens is Mr. Brian Corey Dobbs, an award-winning filmmaker and journalist, director of the groundbreaking documentary Blue Planet Red. Brian Corey Dobbs, let's go.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, just a bit of housekeeping here for those people tuning in to our live stream. There have been some concerns with the frequency of advertisements that have been showing up. We've made a concerted effort here to address that. So today you should see a whole lot less advertising.
Yeah, we didn't know that setting was there.
Right, we changed it so it's appearing much less frequently now. So apologies for that inconvenience before. I just wanted to make note also, Dave, that I have started Oleg's book. I've started reading it. I'm a few chapters in.
Awesome.
It's captivating. We're definitely going to have to talk more about that Oleg once I've got a chance to finish it. It's a thick book, so you're going to have to give me a minute. But, dude, I really like the way you explain some things. And for anyone out there who hasn't yet got the book, I would highly recommend it just based off the few chapters I've read thus far. But anyway, thanks, guys. Happy to be here.
And we're happy you are here, my friend. And last but not least, I think, is Mr. Gary Legier, known as the Mars Revealer, an independent researcher and host of Martian Revelation. He's recognized for his detailed analysis of Mars imagery. And today he's going to show a pyramid he found. So welcome for wherever you're from. Where are you at right now?
I'm from all over the place, mainly back from New York, but I'm in Colorado Springs right now, man, right in our Space Command's backyard. And glad to be here again.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for joining. And you know what, guys? Today is Disclosure Day because we are doing Mars Disclosure Live right now. And then Brian and I are hopping right on to another stream for a detailed breakdown and reaction to Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day movie with Ryan Barthel, of the producer of the Matt Bell podcast, as well as Ty Roberts of the Total Disclosure podcast, as well as, am I missing anybody? I don't know.
I'll be there.
Megan will be there for sure. And we are going to break this bad boy down and get some live reactions to it. Nobody's really shared what they thought in the group chat yet. We're saving it all to see if we get a mixed reaction, but we're going to talk about all the different themes and elements in the movie and what we thought of the overall cinematic experience. But yeah, it's Disclosure Day. Disclosure's happening all over the world. Is it a psyop? I don't know. Maybe, probably a little bit. Who knows? But we're doing our own version of disclosure here. We're disclosing our own stuff about Mars. And today, Brian's going to talk to us about remote viewing on Mars, which I'm quite open to the concept of remote viewing because the CIA studies it. I talk to people who tell me they can do it, and lots of people. And so Brian's going to break that down for us in a short presentation, and then we are going to check out Gary's pyramid for a more concise episode of Mars Disclosure Live. Brian, take it away, my friend.
Thanks, Dave. Yes, Gary has joined us today because he's got an outstanding discovery. Some of you, on the call here today might have seen this before, but for those tuning in, Gary just published a great video on this, which is why I wanted to have him on today to talk more about it. Anyway, I got a brief, trust me, a brief presentation on metaphysical analysis as it relates to Mars, and this is really where the presentation segment of this Mars Disclosure Live sort of comes to an end, and the format will probably loosen up a little bit from this point forward. But I'm happy you guys are open to the idea of exploring this metaphysical stuff. Some of you already explored it elsewhere. Dave and Megan, you guys talk about this occasionally on the multiverse. You've had on a couple remote viewers or people talking about it in the past, I know. But as it relates to Mars, well, believe it or not, there is some interesting things going on there, and I do have to give credit to my producer, Michael Craig, who I will eventually drag into one of these live streams. He's a bit camera shy, but he likes to work behind the scenes. He likes to write his books and things, but he's the guy who I partnered up on the film for, and I learned all this stuff from him. So I consider him to be my mentor, and while we were making the film, he says, oh yeah, by the way, there's this remote viewing stuff that they did with Mars, and I'm like, what the hell is that? He's like, it's psychics. And I'm like, oh God, really? All right, this guy's crazy, all right? But long story short, I was just the uninitiated at that point. I knew nothing of any of this, and my ears perked up when he says, yeah, it's not just crazy psychics, Brian, it's the military. I'm like, what? No, seriously. So I made the decision to include it in the film because I feel like anytime the military or the CIA is getting involved in anything, well, that carries with it an inherent amount of credibility in the eyes of the public. So if they were dabbling around in this for decades, then that indicates to me that there was something to it. And as I come to find out, there was a whole lot to it. So my initial skepticism went away, and now I've become sort of a proponent of this metaphysical ability. Nobody knows how it works, okay? But we're just going to give the basic overview as it relates to Mars here today. For those people who've never heard this story, it's quite interesting. So let me just start up my slideshow, presenter review. There we go. Put this over here. Okay, guys. And let me do... Nope. Full screen. Okay, let me share my screen now. Is it screen 2? Yes, it is. Allow. All right, Megan, can you see that there?
Oh, yeah.
See Joe McMonagle. Okay, great. So, this guy's name is Joe McMonagle. To most of us here, we're probably familiar with that name. And I believe it was in the 1990s. Correct me if I'm wrong here, anybody who knows about this stuff. But in the 1990s, this document here was declassified by the CIA. Actually, as I understand, it wasn't even a classified document. It was just simply published by the CIA and sort of acknowledged. But some people say it was declassified, whatever the case might be. And what this is a transcript of a remote viewing session between Joe McMonagle and I believe Bob Monroe. There's two people who normally do these remote viewing sessions. One's the psychic and one's the guy who is tasking the psychic. That guy's called the monitor. So just have a few brief snippets from that transcript. And to just put this into context, the monitor had in a sealed envelope information that he wanted to use to task Joe McMonagle on a specific target. Now, so Joe McMonagle knows nothing. This is called being blind. He knows nothing about what he's about to be tasked to go and try to remote view. So in that sealed envelope, here's the transcript. Sealed envelope coupled with geographic coordinates. Now, what was in the sealed envelope was this: the planet Mars, time of interest, approximately 1 million years BC. Wow. I mean, just being in the room with the decision maker who thought, hey, let's get our team of psychics to look at Mars a long time ago. Somebody was thinking maybe there's more to the planet than meets the eye. Okay, so we're just going to go through this quickly. Anyway, there's a lot of back and forth. I'm just skipping over a lot just to get the highlights here. I'm just going to read these highlighted portions. So the where it says sub, that's Joe McMonagle. Where it says the monitor, that is Bob Monroe. So Joe McMonagle says, I'm looking at an after effect of a major geologic problem. And so Bob Monroe then asks him, okay, well, go back to the time before the geologic problem. Now, I want to stop right here indicate this, because this is a point of confusion for some people. He's originally tasked to go to 1 million years BC. He goes to 1 million years BC. He's looking at Mars 1 million years ago, and he's saying what he sees as a geologic problem. And the monitor, Bob Monroe, says, we'll go back to before the geologic problem. We don't exactly know when that might have been. Does that mean another million years in the past? Does that mean 500 million years in the past? We don't really know to what extent he went back, to what extent or how long ago that geologic problem was, and where he started viewing the planet again. So it's a long time ago. Joe McMoneagle then proceeds. He says, I see large flat surfaces, very smooth, angles, walls. They're really large. They're megalithic. What does that remind you of? I see pyramids. And then he says, they're huge. They're like shelters from storms. And Bob Monroe asks him, tell me about the ones who sleep through the storms. He says, well, I see very tall, again, very large people. They're very thin. They look very thin because their height, and he's talking about how they dress. He says they're ancient people. They're dying. It's past their time or age. They're looking for a way to survive, and they just can't. Bob Monroe asks him, what is it they're waiting for? Joe McMoneagle responds, well, a group or a party of them that went to find a new place to live because of the corruption of their environment. It's failing very rapidly, and this group went somewhere, like a long way, to find another place to live. Now, if you read this entire transcript, and you buy into this, if you entertain this idea of remote viewing and him actually seeing these things, and these are things that, if you entertain the idea that these are things that actually happened and that he is just remote viewing, again, he doesn't know he was on Mars. He doesn't know he's viewing Mars. He only knew that after this whole thing was done. Okay, then, it can really start to bring up some very troubling things that we have to try to reconcile, like this planetary body right next door to us having beings and the demise of that civilization. And here we're getting some metaphysical, a metaphysical window here to look back in time on a different planet. Now, for those who don't follow remote viewing, look, I know how crazy some of this sounds, all right? But the reason why I go to bat for this is because, scientifically speaking, it has been proven to work. They've done research papers on this stuff. It's got, about an 85% accuracy rate at its, at the most elite levels. Okay, they've done studies on this. It, for those who want to look in the weeds on that, we can go there. I'm not going to go there today. Now, I wasn't able to get Joe McMoneagle for my documentary to talk about this session, but I was able to get a guy by the name of Tom McNear, who was a lieutenant colonel. He's now retired. And he, along with this guy right here on the left, this is Ingo Swann, who's no longer with us, but you guys might have heard of Ingo Swann. He was one of the original remote viewers in this Project Stargate program the CIA cooked up. And he developed this protocol, and he has a team of remote viewers that he tasks, and Tom was part of that team. And Ingo actually considered Tom the best on his team. So I think within the same month in 1984, Ingo Swann actually tasked his team against Mars. And they went and remote viewed Mars, and they saw the same kind of things that Joe McMoneagle was seeing, these large pyramid structures. And they actually, well, Tom puts it this way, he communed with entities, okay? And he basically had the same sort of experience. They were there, but not quite there, and he got a feeling of this overall, tragedy, and I did, however, get a chance, so he's in the film talking about this, but if you haven't seen the film, I do have a specific YouTube video on my channel where I go back and I talk to Tom again, and this time I was actually able to get Joe. I went to Joe's house and I got them both talking about their experiences. I'm just sort of summing it up for you right here on this thing. But if you want to go a little bit deeper into this, you can check out my my interviews with them on my YouTube channel. And why should we take any of this stuff seriously? Well, it's because remote viewing has been proven to work. And in the military sense, they have tasked, President Carter was and there's a recording of this. There was a moment where he admitted in an interview that they found this downed jet that I think had some nuclear bombs on it or something, or some weapons. I forget the exact details, but they were looking for a jet and they used psychics to find it. And they found it. And he told this to an interviewer sometime. So they have used this for critical military purposes. Joe McMoneagle is most famously known for identifying a Russian or Soviet submarine being built, even though our intelligence agency said, no, they're not doing that. He's like, yes, they are. And in 3 months, it's going to be ready. Let's just say, I forget the time, but he's like, yes, on this date, it's going to be launching. Check your satellites then. And they check the satellites, and sure enough, they get a submarine launching. So this is really serious stuff. I am giving you the very top of the iceberg layer of it. We're trying to make this brief today, but there's a whole lot to it. There's a whole lot of history to it. Now, I've found that there's no shortage of podcasts that have guests who want to come in and talk and do all these interviews to tell you about this Stargate program that started in the 70s and all their accomplishments and things of that nature. You guys might remember that I mentioned that I put together a remote viewing documentary. It's now been published. It's on my YouTube channel. I wanted to go one step further because I think there's a lot of tell and not enough show. Now, in this documentary, I show it. I actually task a team of remote viewers to find this person right here, who just so happens to be my cousin. She was kind enough to appear in it for the sequence that I put together. Her and I went to a location, and then months after that, I tasked a team of remote viewers to find her, essentially. And I'll let the results speak for themselves, but not only did they find her, but they found a whole lot of other details about the environment that she was in that I have a hard time figuring out how they did that if it weren't for just this wonderful remote viewing ability, this psychic ability. Like, we have psychics living here with us, is why I title it Psychics Among Us. They're here, they're doing this stuff. I show it, and arguably the documentary proves this. So for anybody who wants a deeper dive into that, feel free to go check this out. So it is because we're able to put it to the test here on Earth and see the results of that, confirm these findings, that I'm inclined to take what they have to say about Mars more seriously. Now, we're going to get a little bit more woo just to wrap this up.
Let's go. Woo it up.
Okay. There was this Reddit post, take it for what it's worth, all right? Some anonymous whistleblower posted on Reddit a very long post about what the hell is actually going on with disclosure and aliens and shit. So I don't know how you verify any of this. I'm just stating that up front, but I'm using this just as a setup here. And I'm just going to read this portion here just to give you an idea about what he was talking about. Quote, "That's when I learned about what we call the Council. Yes, aliens. And I suspect you're not likely to see a lot of what I know mentioned, even by some who know it, who have begun speaking out for reasons I'll get into later. I've never met them face to face. Everything I know about them is from briefings, documents, and one secure video session that I honestly wish I had skipped. But it lines up with too many independent data points to just shrug off as somebody's pet theory. The basic story is this. Earth was noticed roughly 2 billion years ago, long before anything walked around on land. Not because we're special, but because we tripped a sensor, or rather life tripped their sensors. You see, the Council is not a single species. It is a collective of several advanced interstellar, maybe even interdimensional civilizations that run long-term surveys of stars and planets the way we run spy satellites. huge distributed arrays of instruments working together, watching thousands of star systems at once for millions of years at a time. Their gear probably makes the James Webb Telescope look like a kid's backyard telescope. Now, I bring this up, and there's a word here, collective, okay? Dave and Megan, you just interviewed Allison and William Brown, both who have military backgrounds. She was in the military police. I think he was in the Coast Guard, I believe. I've interviewed him for my channel, and speaking of channels, William is a trance channel. He is able to channel. God, how would you guys describe channeling? It is a different form of metaphysical analysis. Remote viewing is using consciousness. I think channeling is using consciousness, but I just don't have a good description of it. What would you guys say?
Well, this is Dave here. In talking to her, from what I understood, was that he goes into a deep meditation that he can't even remember, and he speaks out loud, and Allison then like records everything that he goes into. It was unclear like exactly the difference between the two, but when they're channeling, they can, channel and literally speak to other, so according to them, multi-dimensional beings, people from the past, Egyptian gods, all kinds of stuff. So it's really connecting to a higher level of consciousness that we don't operate under, like from our regular human walking around perspective. It's like expanding above that, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. And actually what comes to mind is some people have heard of this thing called a medium, right? Or maybe the person with the crystal ball, I guess the person that you go to when you want to speak to your dead relatives, right? We've seen that on TV enough, and whether it be reality TV or whether it just be science fiction, whatever the case may be. Whereas the person, the medium, is trying to speak to a dead relative, let's just say, and they are hearing the things what the dead relative is saying, and then they are interpreting that and then putting that into their own words to communicate back to the real person sitting in front of them. What the difference here with William is, he's not interpreting anything. He is just speaking aloud what is coming into his brain. So William sort of turns off, and whatever's coming out, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word, this might seem like possession of some sort. He's just simply saying what is being channeled or transmitted to him. And yes, Allison is sitting there sort of taking notes, asking questions. She's not the one doing the channeling, but she is transcribing all of this. And then when Will wakes up, he's like, okay, what just happened? Tell me all about what you heard. Mm-hmm. So
can I interrupt quick? Ricardo Petrazzi nailed it. Channeling is becoming a conduit for another being's thoughts.
Right.
And so I think that really concisely.
That's why the name channeling, that you're just a channel for some other information. Yes. You're like an instrument, like a musical instrument and so on. Someone is literally playing you. The same with mediumship. Actually, medium is like the person in the middle, in between. So in between the receiving of the information and putting into the other people.
Thank you. Yes, that's great. All right, so they have for those, what that supposed alleged whistleblower talked about here, where there's this council. Actually, William and Allison talk about this same thing. This council of aliens from all over the place who are monitoring Earth, okay, and they're constantly transmitting messages to us, and channels pick this up. William and Allison call them the collective. This guy calls it the council, but it's the same sort of thing. And they have written a book about all of their channeling sessions. They're channeling the collective, and they have distilled all this information. They put sort of the raw transcripts in there, and they talk a little bit about it in their analysis. And they've got a book on this for those who want to know more about what this whole, what humanity's origins and what has happened in the universe before we came and things like that. So for those interested in going to read it, you can check out the book. Okay, well, there we go. Allison transcribes transmissions received by William from extraterrestrial beings understood to be our galactic ancestors and creators. And what they're channeling is the 12 source clusters, what they call the collective. The collective unravels the mysteries of our DNA, the galactic wars, disclosure, ascension, and more. Okay? So I had a chance to interview them, and I talked to them specifically about Mars, and what was channeled about Mars was a few interesting things, which is supported by the data. Okay? The Martian planet was the most habitable for the human experiment, and it is where structures began. Some of you are familiar with mythological texts that also kind of say the same sort of thing. Humans started on Mars and they were brought to Earth. I don't have enough expertise to talk on that fluently, to really go to bat for it. It's just an interesting thing that I note. Warring factions had the ability to manipulate their energy to begin to create, as you would understand it, weapons. Not weapons of your earthly plane, energetic weapons, highly effective energetic weapons. Then, all within a very short amount of time, yes, your Mars planet is destroyed. It's no longer habitable. Again, this is what's being channeled and transcribed by William and Allison. Okay, when we hear about weapons and things like that, Mars planet being destroyed, of course, I'm thinking about Brandenburg and all his research. And again, more channeling. You express the use of a nuclear weapon. This is not a new device within the galaxy. For your planet, it is something that is relatively new. At the point at which irreparable harm would come to a particular planet, Earth or any others, then we reveal ourselves. We must. It is an agreement, not for the beings, but for the planet. This may sound a bit disturbing that we wouldn't have the humans' best interest at hand. We do, but ultimately it is the planet that must be saved in order to save the humans. So yes, we would intervene in a very extreme way to mitigate any potential harm to a planet. If it is the use of a nuclear weapon, then yes, we will intercede. Now, you guys probably have also heard that there are these reports that America's nuclear sites, probably even elsewhere in the world, are secretly being invaded by thousands of UFOs. You see these things. There's even a Wikipedia article here about UFO sightings around atomic sites, around nuclear sites. And, there's this question about why are they doing this? And if you're following Mars, if you know anything about Mars disclosure, the answer seems obvious, at least to me, because it just seems like they're wanting to prevent Earth from ending up like Mars. And what better way of doing that than monitoring our nuclear activity and coming in and saving the day in case we go crazy with it? That's just my take. It just seems obvious to me. And I think we are, I only have a few more slides here. Let me just see here. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. They have some ideas about the pyramids here on planet Earth, but we'll just end it there. So I just wanted to talk about, their particular analysis of Mars, and of course there's more that is said about it. I have a whole interview with them. You guys, David and Megan, have an interview coming out with them. What is it, next week?
Yeah.
Yep, next week.
Okay, awesome. So Allison and William are, they're just normal sounding people. They don't sound crazy.
No, they don't.
But when people start to hear about psychics and channelers and mediums and things, it for the uninitiated, including me, it just starts to make you feel a little uncomfortable. It's like, this isn't real, is it? Like, well, yeah, it is real. Now, I'm still on my journey with it, but hey, what I can go on is that the nuts and bolts data is supporting what they're saying. And if it's using consciousness, then if it's anywhere similar to remote viewing, which has been proven to work, then I'm inclined to entertain what they have to say, because I think that they may have another way of examining what the hell is happening. So anyway, that's the presentation.
Well, I must say that like channeling and remote viewing, especially remote viewing Mars, seemed to be a little out there for me personally. But then when I talked to Dr. Allison Brown, she's a doctor of education. She still teaches actively in school. And the one thing that stuck out to me was that a lot of this comes from Reiki, and Reiki healing, and that's part of how they discovered this channeling ability. I don't know a whole lot about Reiki as far as like, how to practice it. But they actually do Reiki at the VA, the Veterans Affairs, in, I think, Charleston and a few other places. And they teach it to nurses, to physicians, to nurses' aides. They teach it to the veterans themselves. And the VA has actually gotten on board with that. And one of the most interesting things Allison said to us that I thought was that you mentioned that the collective, is that what they call it? Yeah, they monitor Earth, but monitoring Earth is a very small piece of what they do. There's so much else going on out there, and it just put this whole like big kind of picture I'd never thought about before, like in a serious way, out there. And I don't know what to think, guys. I'll be honest. But talking to Dr. Alison Brown, she's a serious lady. She's not, I don't get any BS from her. Like, I really enjoyed the conversation. We talked about a bunch of different things. And so when we're thinking about the big picture of humanity's story, how Mars fits into it, and the picture that Brian's been painting for the last, 2 months, I think that's how long we've been going, you do have to consider the metaphysical part of this and the overall bigger picture of the universe and our consciousness and how it fits into that. And it's very complicated. I'm going to toss it around to everyone. And I want to hear everyone else's personal thoughts on, Brian's presentation, remote viewing, and that kind of thing. So I know Oleg has some stuff to say about this. So let's go with Oleg first.
Yes, actually, I don't know where to start with all
it's
of
a
that.
lot.
I even pull out some books from behind me. I have one of Ingo Swan's book. I think he is one of the best examples in the space. You mentioned McMonagall, but I think Ingo Swan was one of the best to write books about it and to show the evidence. And I even have he shows few targets, so what he was ordered to remote view, and he, as you've said, has no idea what he is to remote view, but he shows in his book a few great examples of, actually many, but I want to show a few of them, how it looks like. I don't know about lighting, but yeah, but basically he shows plenty of pictures of the target and what he draw, because in his version he was like having a sheet of paper and he was drawing the targets, and very often he gets the main shape, the main size of the thing, but sometimes the details vary, of course, and he shows that it's beyond statistically, beyond just a coincidence. Another great guy who was, I think, a few days ago on Joe Rogan, Dean Radin, has plenty of books. Here is the Conscious Universe, and he showed statistically, he proved plenty of different kinds of psychic phenomena, ESP, remote viewing, and a few others, to show that there is much more to them than just statistically, oh, you guessed it, and so forth. I had a few of my own psychic spiritual capabilities. I was in high school and later reading people's auras, but only on like a wall with a single color, like without distractions. And sometimes I had like experiences of seeing stuff that was probably beyond the material realm. The same with, when it comes to the channeling, I experienced it once. And I wouldn't say it's a demonic possession, because you are still within yourself. And I would compare, even, as I said, I have like mild psychic abilities. I'm like sensitive or something, that channeling is less invasive than your closest people that are closest to you. Sometimes people who are closest to you, if they have emotions, intentions, or they are talking to you, they even may have more energetic or something like that influence over you than channeling. Channeling is basically, as I've said, being an instrument. So just, getting the information just as you are thinking, but a little bit different that you're not totally aware of. I can compare it to a state just before, or maybe sometimes when we wake up, or maybe sometimes when we are very tired and just, are falling asleep immediately, and we are like being woken up suddenly, like falling asleep and talking some things, or having like thoughts on our minds, and maybe that's, so it's similar to that. But what else can I say? I think it's a very cool stuff, and I can't wait. I will be editing Dr. Alison Brown this week for Friday's episode on Dave's Multiverse, so hope everyone will join us on this in this episode.
Yeah, and shout out to my former co-host Mike. He's been reading Joe McMonagle's bio. He says good info. And Megan and I also recently interviewed Jason Quitt. He's an author and a researcher. And just a quick background on Jason, and this goes along with what Oleg was saying about falling asleep. He had this affliction as a teenager and a young child or young man where I've experienced sleep paralysis twice, where like I fell asleep and but I was awake and I could see my room, but I couldn't move my body. It happened 2 times when I took a nap around the same couple months. And it was one of the weirdest experiences of my life. But Jason would experience sleep paralysis every single night, all night long, every day for years. And through that experience, which was quite terrifying for him for a long time, he was able to kind of learn how to even move his body. Like there's a body within his body, and he was able to, like, because he was like in this sleep paralysis going, get me out. And eventually, like, he was able to like find his way to move around without actually moving around, like find space within himself. And then one day he was doing this, and he appeared outside of his body, and he was looking down at his own body. And over the years, he's learned to use this space that he can exist in to channel. He's a very interesting guy who I take very seriously. He's written several books, a recent one. I think that interview comes out in 2 weeks, but he's a regular speaker at Contact in the Desert as well. And you showed a slide, Brian, with Hakeem Isler, as part of your documentary, correct? And he was also on the show. And I've like witnessed these people, him and what's her name, Brian, the champion of all that?
It was a Dahlia
Burgoyne. There's another guy, Ryan. What's his name, Megan? Sorry, I'm blanking on his name.
Despin?
Ryan, yeah, Despin. He was a Psy Games champion. A couple of years ago, like, we witnessed this stuff, performing mind sight and whatnot. Dahlia demonstrated mind sight to us on the show. Check out the episode. But yeah, I mean, it's I have to take people seriously when they come across as a serious person to me. And I feel my only psychic ability is empathy and like understanding like people like in their emotions. And I feel like I can sense, and it's not 100%, but I feel like I can sense deceit most of the time. And some of these people I'm talking about, I don't feel deception, and I'm going to kick it over to Gary because he's chuckling over there. Gary, give us your thoughts on remote viewing and Brian's presentation.
Well, can you all hear me all right?
Yeah, we got you, bro.
The reason why I'm chuckling is I can relate to that, but a lot of that's called intuition and common sense.
Yeah.
erase that from many of your minds today. But there are those of us that still experience that, and it's good to go on. And some people call that a gut feeling, but that's part of our bodies. You hit on the empathic aspect.
Yeah.
That's called being alive, and then the common sense and taking it all in which you are. Because especially when you sleep, you dream, and not only dream, it's like doorways. You could go to other places, experience other things, and there are times when you can know it's bullshit, but on the other times, you know this is real as can be, because one thing, you could pull yourself out of it. You could acknowledge and come and says this is too real to be real. And when you go past those things and it's turning out to be real, because like a dream, then you know you ruin your own dream. You wind waking up or something. You know what I'm talking about? But it's empathic. It's more of, I think, a natural intuition of the cosmos. Why? That's why so many people are able to pick up mediums. Everyone is psychic. There's a lot of people blinded in the brain, and that's just the reality. Everyone has psychic capabilities. Even myself, I can relate to things you would say. That's why I was chuckling there for a few of it. Out of body experience, I'll say this. Those beings, whether they're the ones channeling, communicating, doing things here on this planet, because remember, there's more than one species, one in one place. It's a big cosmos. Don't limit your mindsets over the possibilities. But they could take your soul, spirit out of your body. That's why I was listening intently to what you said. It interested me about your buddy there. Being in himself, though, he's like, what the hell? It's his real self, but he's trapped in himself. And then somehow he got out and viewed his body, right?
Mm-hmm. He just popped out, he said one day after just screaming, let me out.
Boom. Now, what a feeling that must be.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I'm thankful enough for having that. Because I know one thing, I know that because I dwell on those thoughts, I thought, well, what if I was in my body, trapped in myself, like, oh, it was like that forever. You're the Twilight Zone episode, remember? The person I can't say do anything, he's all wrapped up. But, and it's like, what a horror that must feel like, you know? Yeah. But to be outside and to think about that and know that concept, you have to relate to the fact that you're aware. Like your a friend obviously is, he was inside himself, but ready to go. But my experiences is that they slam me back. They slam you back. And I was able to remember certain things while a lot of other memories going. And it's things like they want me to figure out and remember and put the pieces together. How could I be slammed back? My wife's on the bed. I thought, through this experience, you should have hit the mirror, bounced off the bed. It was that, and then boom! And never mind the vibration and the weird humming sound, which felt like maybe 15 seconds, but it could have been 20 minutes for all I know, or longer. But to me, of what I'm able to remember, and that affects, like they wanted me to know that feeling that I was going through while being slammed back. And all my reality's okay. Nothing's out of place. She's there. I wake up instantly, and she's like, I woke her up by my swimming. And are you all right? Are you all right? It's like, no, that's the question I'm asking you. I'm looking at the mirror, make sure it ain't broke. Because it was like, and I had to come to grips with myself. But the reality is, they slam you back in your body, and they wanted me to know it. They wanted me to put the pieces together for it, because everything I experienced and that I was there as I'm talking here with you, like, I didn't see my body or nothing like that. That would really freak me out. But what I went through freaked me out, right? Because the reality of it is that everything I experienced and why I also survived a few things, which it was no dream. You can wake up from dreams. You can know what's bullshit, but when it's beyond bullshit, and you feel like you're the one, the monkey in the middle, being tested, That's where your intuition comes in, and you must think 4 or 5 different things at once because you know they're in your head. And for all you know, creating a scene about you and that you are in spiritually or whatever you want to call out of your body. You're able to touch yourself and everything, you know. Yeah. But so to put the conclusion together, what you went through, and you were gone for much longer because everything that happened than just a couple hours of sleep in bed. Everything's okay. I had a lot to put together, and they could take our bodies. So when people worry about Independence Day, they could pull your souls, your bodies. I'm alive. I'm alive, and I shouldn't be. That's the thing, and that's what sets people off on the rack. You know of what all this comes from. And remote viewing goes again. Who are these beings? Everything I remember. It's not. Look, do not be deceived. We're in the age of deception. And I'm sorry to go on this rant, but it's very important. It's funny you guys are bringing it up. You know, these are things I think about all the time. And there's even scriptures in place. Yes, I'm a scriptural person. I'm a believer, saved by the blood. And we're at war. It's the timing of it all. No one knows. Oh, gee, let's accept them. Let's go by all their lines of bullshit. While yet your intuition, your empathy, telling you, you trusties, no, and don't. They'll show miracles. They'll be able to do so many things. We are in an interesting time. It's great to be alive, especially times of disclosure. But what I say, Brian and other people over time on the Martian Revelation and all, am I crazy? But yet, we're at a time now where we must be told, based on Brookings. And so why would these experiences not be happening to people when, again, this fascinating subject Brian brings up, and I want to comment on that still, if I may, or cut me off. I don't mean to be doing this, but I just want to say this: if they can take your soul and slam you back in your body, that's not far-fetched compared to your buddy being stuck in his body. It's verifying there's a process, there's a reality there that we're all not fully grasping but experiencing in different ways, and they're able to utilize it. That's all I want to say about that. But the remote viewing, dude, is all into all different properties where we must be listening to everything. Don't even if the evidence amasses to the most concrete proof, don't trust it fully. All right. Now, it's a fascinating subject. The military used it for years. You brought up, the secretness of it, and during the Mars discussion of Hoagland and others, the next door, very next door, is the room they did that shit in. What was it? Not the NIH, but it's on the tip of my tongue. But it's very next door, the same moment all that Mars research was going on, they were conducting that. So that's a little historical pinpoint. Brandenburg can confer to that and others. So now I have an ultimate test. And I'm going to say right now, there's all many possibilities of psychicism, communications, channelings. Be careful, people. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not a preacher, and I'm not in a position, but I'm telling you, I'm saved by the blood of King Holy Be Jesus, and I'm going to tell you something. Shit's about to rock. So use your head.
Let's go.
But the remote viewing, I got an ultimate test I have never had no one come approach to achieve of getting an answer for, and this deals with simple imagery of secret images of Mars are not published to the public purview, meaning released from them in any of their public national space archives or government agency or anything. Freedom of request, FOIAs, is going to be published again. I mean, approached again. Then I'll get into my first one, and that'll make you laugh.
Hey, Gary.
With this. So, but the remote viewing, there is something there, and that none of them is many positive signs I'm seeing and hearing. No one has accepted the challenge of helping me out. So I'm not going to believe in everyone's thing the way they want to steer me on that. I'm not disproving that cannot be real, remember. We're in that age now. But I'm putting an open invitation for anyone now to contact me, and I don't want to say nothing more about it because the more information gives you a better base to come up with a storyline of bullshit. So I want to put this to the test on the Martian Revelation. Email me at marsrevealer@gmail.com. Let's set that up. And then we'll include these people here to witness and partake in it. And I'm all for that as long as it leads for truth and questions, to which, if we're gonna listen to those things and capabilities and psychic abilities, use it to your advantage. That's all I'm gonna say. Now, it's a fascinating subject. Didn't mean to ruin everything, but I just had to say some things, and it's all relatable. But other than that, it's a great subject, isn't it? And amazing times. Mars disclosure is happening, and that's why we're here now. Even more important than they even know.
Gary, you had some really good takes there. One of the things that you said, that everyone is psychic, is something I've been thinking about a lot lately. In the same vein that on a spectrum, some people are good at math, some people can run really fast, some people can play instruments. There's these abilities, the regular perception that we experience day to day, that people exist on a spectrum in. And I know Sarah has a lot to say about this. And so I'll kick it over to her. But thank you so much, Gary. That was great.
Yeah, no problem. And I apologize for the rant, but you know what? I didn't know what the hell you guys were talking about.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
We'll be getting in on the Martian Revelation much more deeply.
All right, let's go, Sarah.
No, he basically just took us all to church. Like I have no problem with everything he just said. He's pretty spot on there. And as you all know, this is a subject that's, very, very near and dear to my heart. It's something that I've, dug into for many years now since I had, my own experiences. And I know that a lot of this, for a lot of people, you consider it to come from the trust me bro realm. And I get it. I know I was exactly the same way. And it's one of those things that you don't know unless you know. And when it happens to you, you will remember my face and the fact that I told you so. Like, everyone is psychic. Everyone will find some kind of gift or ability to some extent. And just like you were saying, some are better at it than others. My gifts and your gifts are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to learn to drive mine the same way everyone else has to learn to drive theirs. And that's what it's all about. And I'm glad that remote viewing has entered this conversation, because I consider it to be highly relevant. And I also, I will be here Brian, when you find out that you can't have this conversation without bringing astral projection and past life regression experiences. You can bring those into it too, because they're all a form of remote viewing. I mean, you're viewing something without actually being there. So I would encourage you to dig a little deeper.
Yeah,
the things you're going to find are amazing.
Yeah, that's what Jason Quitt does, is astral travel, Sarah. And somebody in the comments, I think it was Ricardo Petrazzi, said astral traveling and remote viewing are two very different things, which is true. But they exist in this realm of extrasensory perception that we all have, and some of us can tap into more than others. And it feels to me like at a time of disclosure, when it feels like disclosure is all around us, these abilities are starting to pop up more and ramp up more, and people are starting to wake up to these abilities more frequently. And I've heard this that testimony from a bunch of different people. Ricardo, I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about remote viewing as it relates to Mars, as well as just the overall topic of, extrasensory perception in human ability.
Thank you. So first of all, I want to tell Gary, crazy is the new normal. It's being normal that is crazy now. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, I'm not. That's why. Thanks, bro.
And in regards to what we've been discussing, and I'm sorry for throwing the woo-woo out, because
it's okay. That's why we're a panel.
Yeah, because magic or this kind of things that we can't explain, it's exactly because it's some kind of science or some kind of knowledge that we don't have. So we describe it as being something extraordinary, but it's also extraordinary if you put two diapasams next to one another and you touch just one of them. And if they are tuned to the same frequency, it doesn't matter if they are 2 or 30, they will all ring without being knocked. And when you're doing remote viewing, when you're doing astral traveling, you are just allowing, because the brain is just an antenna, you're just allowing your brain to tune to the exact frequency that contains that memory in what today we would call the cloud. So some people call it the Akashic records. I call it the animus equilibrium because it's the sum of everything that it's been done since the beginning of time. Because every time that an atom is born, and an atom dies, there is a straight of information. Every time a person dies, it lost, I don't know, 200 grams or something like that, right? When we are beginning our life, there is a flash of light when the sperm enters the egg. All of these things are connected as some kind of database in information, right? DNA might be the antenna and the
You
brain just the decoder. That's fine by me.
right.
Uh,
Play Assassin's Creed because
yeah, exactly. I do. I do.
describing the
Uh,
storyline that though it's a game that they give you, it like hits on all this stuff like the animus. You mentioned the animus, being able to
yes.
pick up on past lives. I mean, they do a real beyond just an entertainment. I think they've given you knowledge of how things really are.
Yeah.
So a gaming system, Assassin's Creed. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I'm quite familiar with it. Thank you. So, uh, another point of this is that most of the people that do these exercises related to one subject, and this subject normally is the organization of the universe, other species, and so on and so forth, they all get very similar results. Those that are familiar with Wilcock and Good from their, what's the name of the Cosmic Disclosure, if we take the 21 and back, we have the same story that Brian was telling. There is a council of galactic proportions. There is a representative of every race. There is, and the only thing here that I would point is it is folly of us to think that anything close to our technology, even the things that we don't know that exist but are 50 years ahead of what we are told and so on, uh, are not strong enough to destroy the planet, not by a long mile. They might destroy life, but they can't destroy a planet. We are far away from that. The thing is, even there is an interest from these creatures, whatever they are, into atomic energy. Because if you go and see on the some of the documentaries that I shared on that folder, you'll find that in the 70s, 80s, when the British were testing their nukes, there was always or almost always a UFO phenomena recorded in the military data.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It always appear when they're testing their systems. And normally what they did, this appearances, these objects, is to unplug their power. So all systems go down and they didn't even allow them to test the systems, right? And it's just a test. So somehow I think that coincidence takes planning, and all of this is somewhat related. So all of this access that we are gaining, it relates to perhaps because we are all getting more spiritual and less religious, because there is being a loss in terms of religion, but everybody's getting more and more spiritual in their own way, and this might be attuning us. So there's more people that don't watch television. There's more people that don't listen to the radio. There's more people creating their own content, like the people that are content, the people that are watching us today. So, and that, I think that's primordial to find your own place, your own tuning, your own frequency, and your own conclusions, and that's it.
Ricardo, I couldn't have said it better myself. It's an inner journey, right? It's finding your true self, and it's finding what your frequency is. I absolutely love that, man. Thank you. we got a time limit here because Brian and I are going live again at 6. But so I don't want to cut anyone too short or anything. But I want to hear from Megan and Jean. Jean, you know, how do you feel like remote viewing can help with or does relate to your work as a independent researcher searching NASA imagery for, you know, all these anomalies?
Okay, thanks for that, guys. Okay, when it comes to remote viewing, like Brian says, it has 80 to 85% accuracy, which I like. I like Joe McMonagle's analysis of Mars in its distant past. It was pretty accurate because Gary and myself are finding pyramids all over the surface.
Which we're going to see in a few minutes.
And okay, how it relates to my current research, man, I don't know any remote viewers, but if I can, I would definitely like to tap into some of that information. I know that Nikola Tesla, for example, I think he once said that he gets his information and ideas from the ether.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he say that once?
Yep.
And he was also in contact with beings off-world. And there's definitely something to this. We're all spiritual. We're all spiritual creatures. And we've all been given different gifts. Some of us are just better at doing things than others.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that remote viewing is possible, especially if you look at the evidence and the results. So yeah, if anyone can do remote viewing on the subject, I'd appreciate that. Give us some targets, we'll go check them out.
Thank you, Jean, and look forward to Brian's documentary coming out and on this topic. I'm going to kick it over to Megan. What are your thoughts on all this, Miss Indonesia Jones?
Yeah, I'm pretty open-minded in general. I've had a few, I guess, like in the realm of psychic experiences personally, and as well as like going to see a medium and then just knowing things they could never possibly know. And I don't feel like it's such a huge leap to remote viewing from there. Truly, I feel like they're all maybe a lot more connected than we even realize. So why not? Like, and yeah, like 85% accuracy in the realm of accuracy. I think that's pretty darn good, but there still is a decent margin for us to be skeptical about as well. So I think open-mindedly skeptical is like where I stand here, but definitely think that it's like a valid thing happening there.
Yeah, do you know what else comes to mind, Dave? Sorry to interrupt you, Megan. Project Looking Glass. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Project Looking Glass. The military apparently was able to build technology to look into different timelines. And I think it might be related to this topic somehow. But what technology can you build that can do this? That's amazing.
Maybe
I'm sure you need some other remote viewer or channeler to make it work.
So like a human brain connection to a technology.
Almost like Minority Report.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Great movie, by the way. Great movie.
Yes.
Megan.
Some disclosure there.
Yeah. Megan said openly skeptical, and I think that's a good place to be. Because there is a lot of woo and there's a lot of grift, you know, within this 85% action remote viewing or, you know, mediums and things like that. You know, we are all human after all. And so being openly skeptical is good. Brian, do you want to just quickly put a period on this discussion, and then we'll kick it over to Gary's pyramid for a few minutes?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the metaphysical is something that is emerging as legitimate in the eyes of the public, and it's amazing just simply on this call, the amount of people who have had experiences, you know, Oleg saying he's partially psychic or things like that. Like it takes somebody speaking up for maybe someone else to speak up, and that person speaks up, and somebody else speaks up. So we've got a long way to go towards majority cultural acceptance of this, but it is emerging, and I think it would behoove us to entertain a lot more of this, simply because it could allow us to understand what the heck is really going on, because it's not all about nuts and bolts. That much is clear to me. But speaking of nuts and bolts, Gary, if I recall correctly, didn't you get your name from this experience that you had? Your nickname?
Which one?
Well, he's got two: the Mad Martian and the Mars Revealer. And I think, Gary, you framed it for me like this: Mad Martian was given to you by people. Mars Revealer was given to you by these entities.
Yeah, for lack of a better term, they were people and everything I went through, and also told me certain other predictions that came true, but not in the ways in which sounded at the time. And it involves what I need tested by remote viewers. Anyone, again, MarsRevealer@gmail.com. But yes, Mars Revealer. And there's a point in time coming to where all of this, where we're going now, is not our own footsteps. There's a point in time where the Martian revelation is not just a show or a concept or even just my idea. It's a thing that is or will be, depending on your perspective of time. So everything that you're doing now, you're all a part of the process, like I said before. And still, it's going to come to fruition. We'll see how crazy I am. Remember, Brian, I said, we'll see how crazy I am. I know how I sound. But at that point in time, well, everything we're saying and doing now is already been done and heard by those down through time, even listening right now.
Well, here's what I'll say: crazy or not, we've all got a little crazy in us. But look, crazy or not, what I will go to bat for is what is a lot, not everything, but a lot of what Gary finds. Because a lot of what Gary finds, I don't know how you argue with it, logically speaking. And today is one of those examples, and I want Gary to give his little presentation. Let's toss it around the room. And Gary, do me a favor. Don't show them yet what this is labeled as on the NASA website. Leave that for the very end.
Oh, actually, I didn't. That would have been a good screen grab. But if you got it, you could do that for me.
Okay, all right. We'll save that to the very end, because there's a point to this.
I don't know what could appreciate is growing time, so I'm kind of busy with my babies out there. Hopefully yours is good too, John. But that being said, yeah. But how do I share screen?
Yeah,
go ahead and it's the middle button down there, and Megan will pull it up. And as you're doing that, I just want to say thanks to everyone in the chat. The chat is hopping today, and there's a really good response from the chat. There's a lot of different opinions and a lot of different experiences being shared. I really appreciate that. Right now, we're live on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble across several channels, bringing this information to you guys. So I would say to that, if you're watching and you're enjoying this stuff, please go ahead and subscribe to everyone on this panel, because we're all putting out really great content. And so we've got Ricardo Calvario from the Institute for Natural Philosophy and the Shaman and Philosopher podcast. Alexander Cheshkovich, just look that up on YouTube. Find his book. Jean Ward, that's his YouTube channel name, correct? Go ahead and subscribe to him.
Where is he? And that's what we need in this topic. We need the Merlin. We need the Gandalf. Where is he?
We do. The shaman, for sure. We do need him, but yeah, it really helps grow the community, and it really helps bring this information around, as well as Sarah from the Universe Unveiled podcast. They do weekly UU news on Sundays. It's great stuff. So go ahead and subscribe. Gary, you shared and we had it, and now it's gone. Can you go ahead and share it again?
All right, no problem. I was just testing it.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. So, I don't know. I think it's self-explanatory. You know what I mean? I mean, what do you all see before I say anything? What do you all see? What do you all think you see besides craters?
A four-sided pyramid.
Okay, that's a couple of ways. Everyone concur.
Well, aside the obvious, it looks like that place was bombarded from several bullets coming from one particular direction.
Right. That has to do with light and dust, they say. I say also reflection. Why? I'm crazy because it's metallic. But anyway, that's another topic. So, okay. So you all agree, though. You basically see a four-sided structure.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
So,
It is self-explanatory. That's what we see.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And that we'll leave that to the name for Brian to bring up and show it the segue to that, right, Brian? All right, so this is a Mars Express image. Now, I got to tell you, the lower resolution Mars Express, and maybe John would concur, Mars Express has got the lower resolution as a stereo camera now, not just a single lens, as a stereo camera. But that ain't what's picking up these finer details that we don't really get to see in NASA's versions. You can actually make out lines and details that are connecting the pyramid right to the crater. I'm not going to go over everything. I just want to say, look at the thing. It's like they are able to see the tattoo. There's something there. It's not LiDAR, but it's something that NASA's cameras ain't using. That's all I want to say and show, and I'll shut up, but I have to make it known because Mars Express, I give them real big thumbs up for the quality. I just wish it was higher resolution. Hint, hint, Germany. Get them all out and send it up there and show us. But anyway. Boom. Beautiful. In my opinion,
what did you do to it there, Gary?
This is Mars Express color, man.
Okay.
For the same image. Beautiful. Tell me that don't look like metallic. I'm not seeing sand, dirt, dunes. You know, you have a lot of that mainly from the iron oxide dust all over the planet. But what I'm seeing here is artistically all been carved and sculpted. Look, follow the details. I mean, they're good enough, and the colors help bring out the tattoo, and it kind of gives it like a 3D type look. But look at the colors. It looks more metallic than anything natural. But I'll shut up. I just want to show you the pretty pictures. An overlay. Oops. Where'd I go? And that's an overlay of the data on top of the black and white Mars Express. So it's the same image, but with one of the color, you know what I'm saying? And I overlaid it. And that's another thing I do. I overlay image data with other image data, especially when it's taken at a correct position or nadir position. And you can fuse them and you can get a stereo image out of it that way. And you can literally make an image that's been unreleased before because you're making a unique image to bring out details one has that the other may not, and then one has and the other don't. And you blend them, and it's like, wow. How come that ain't shit for you? But anyway, so this thing is from corner to corner. All right, left corner to right corner is 3 miles. Going across, I think Brian noted, is like not even 2 miles. But from corner to corner, I didn't want to go through every angle. We all get the idea. It still looks like a geometric structure to me. Again, wait till the end for Brian to show you the unique name they gave this. But anyway, and the crater, 1.5 miles, as long as the face is Cydonia. Why am I not surprised? But look at the beauty of them. Greens, yellows, purples, and that's all approximate how we would see it. Now, mind you, the colors would be even more enhanced to reveal the tattoo. Hopefully that makes sense. And if it goes that down through time, it will. So, obviously,
real quick, Gary, just real quick, go back to the previous image, okay? Go back. Okay, look, guys, I want you to know Gary used a word that most people are unfamiliar with, which is nadir, Nadir, which means how what is it, Gary? Like where the satellite is according to the Earth, we could be a few degrees off.
Directly above would be nadir.
Yeah,
Or
nadir means directly above.
directly above. So, but we have various images. The more data we have taken at various positions, I guarantee you we can make custom digital images showing details not seen in their previous versions. As long as we get data to correlate of the data with, whether it's lower resolution but good like Mars Express, or Global Surveyor, or Odyssey, which is comparable resolution to Mars Express, and obviously MRO CTX and the high rise.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, keep that in mind, because some of these aren't precisely on overhead. They're off nadir by a certain degrees, and I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they may not be
spot on. I know exactly what you're saying. I wouldn't have done this image if it wasn't.
Okay, go ahead, Gary. Keep going with your presentation.
That's what I wanted, was exactly for the color, and because I got to see the relief. How what it looks like, I want to see if the tattoo comes out more with the colors. If it's more in position, you can get it. You could get the overall details two-dimensionally. It helps a lot. But yes, you can see the shifts if you look at one image of the same feature to another of the same feature, etc., etc. You look at them fast, it can move like an animation. It'll show like if it's more on the left or more on the right rather than directly spot on. So those are.
Go ahead, Gary. Keep going with your slides. Keep going, Gary. Keep going.
I got calm down. All right, this obviously is why we see this. Well, it's most people see. Okay, we all know what that is. Again, I don't need it. It's self-explanatory. Yay. Okay, Brian had a good feature put up that I used for this video. Saved me the trouble. But look at the differences. And not only the differences in size, but look at the differences. It still has the geometric imprint, though not perfect. Remember, there was one line in your video you played in the transcript, Brian, about what he was saying about the pyramids. You did not read, but I caught.
Okay.
Everyone press pause and look. But they're different. They're not like the pyramids in Egypt, they're pyramids, but they're different. That's all I'm going to say, and you got to keep in your mind. I'm not bullshitting. Go back to when Brian was showing that. Press pause on the screen and read it. But anyway, they're different. So when people say, oh, it's not perfect like Earth. Well, no, there's differences. They're different. Take it from the guy that supposedly witnessed it 2 times. Anyway, well, there's a Mars Odyssey image. Again, good detailing. And for a Mars Odyssey, I'm quite impressed. And this is good enough to do an overlay job too, which I'll show you an update, Brian, and everyone else if you want in the future. So there's an MRO CTX image of it. Very interesting. Of course, it's my process version. And the way NASA gives it out ain't too bad, but I like to bring out the crannies, especially to the tattoo that I know I'm seeing, and that is ultimately going to be revealed. So there's a perspective view. Wow, what booms out at you? Well, nice point, pun intended. All right, boom. Interesting layout and concept. No, looking different. Remember, looking different is still uncanny to what we see two-dimensionally, isn't it, Brian and everyone else? Look on the ground. The perspective changes and how they're different. Look at that left edge. That left edge continues geometrically down even past the supposed border of that supposed bottom of that pyramid. You notice that? Very interesting. Notice how it's fused into the feature of the what do you call a ridge or escarpment of which the crater happens to be sitting in. Now, let me remind you all, when we look at this thing a little better in a minute, it's showing that buttress line more strongly. Would you all agree at least on that?
Yep.
I would.
Now, look where that crater is. Look how that base of that line of buttress of the pyramid comes and is fashioned as part of the escarpment covering where that meteor crater is. If this meteor crater, this impact from meteor crater, bullshit, because how would we have a pyramid or anything there to look at, let alone built into the fusion of the construction of the pyramid itself? Right, Brian? That's basically what we faced to, even with Pyramid Crater, remember?
Yeah. Gary's basically saying, had a meteor come down and made that hole, it probably would have blown a lot of debris over on
about it. But look at that
top
crater.
of the pyramid.
It's fused into the structure of the of that escarpment itself. Follow the rim of that crater on the left side. There's a line there. Notice how it goes up like an artist brush. It's connected to that escarpment. If that crater is a real impact crater, then that's a miracle, and you know how anything is there existing like that. But maybe it's flight for water or something else, or maybe material they use to help make that pyramid for all we know.
Like a quarry. It looks
Gary,
like a quarry.
Listen, in the interest of time, we got to wrap this up so we can get people to comment on this. So just get through the remaining slides here, because we only got about 10 minutes.
I'm going through. Oh, we got enough time, bro. All right. Anyway, so there's another view of it. Again, look at the buttress of that angle of that pyramid coming down. Look how much further down the ground than it is on the right side. That don't mean the right side ain't just as even underneath. Those subsurface illegals, we're gonna come. Now, look at that. Very interesting. And that's what the beauty, and there's the location, everybody. So, enjoy. There's a video up there on YouTube. This will be also put in the book I'm writing called The Pyramids of Mars, Oasis of the Damned. I got so many damn things to show. It's going to be more than one book, I think. But it's enough data, and that's the point. That's the point. There's Pyramids of Mars, and go back, everyone, to Brian's transcript of the remote viewing session. They're different. Now we're looking at why that is confirming what he seen there. Would you all not agree to that statement? I think there's a preponderance of evidence toward the veracity of the truth about that session. Just look what we're finding.
Hey, Gary, if you don't mind, I'm gonna wrap up your presentation here, but I'm gonna show everybody what this looks like. Okay, the argument against what we hear quite often in the Mars disclosure community is that's just pareidolia. In other words, you crazy people are just seeing things. Okay, now I'm gonna put that to rest right now. Okay, because the question becomes, what does NASA think of this? What have they said anything? Well, they haven't said anything, but they did label this image. Okay, and I'll just let this speak for itself. It's hard to see with the comment there, but
and when they release
that comment,
when they release this, Brian,
pyramidal mound. Yeah.
discovered this years before they released this for the high rise. So I think they're poking at me because I had a little discussion with a certain person there, for the media publication relations, and he's not too relationable, but yet I think he's mocking me. And or confirming what I've been claiming about it without admitting it. Because they don't admit it. They can't say nothing. Well, their funding will be pulled. But they're putting out the data. And that's what Brian's trying to say. That destroys pareidolia as a basic form. It's our fault we're seeing pyramids. Oh man, give me a Xanax. I need a pyramid because we got a flag here, fucking pyramid. Or a face. And you'll be ostracized, punished, shadow banned because you dare to say what's in the data that they give out.
So
this goes back to think. There you go.
NASA, anybody claiming pareidolia, that's not a legitimate argument anymore. NASA themselves have labeled this as a pyramidal mound. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade that to pyramid because what else could it be? They're not saying this is a mountain. They're not saying this is a volcano. They're not saying this is a butte, a mesa, or a glacial deposit, also known as a cave. They're not saying any of that. Where they're like, well, we don't know what to call it, so let's just call it what it looks like, a pyramidal mound.
They're being safe without saying it's a pyramid. It's a pyramidal mound. Everything people will go to if you say a pyramid. We gave you the data, but now I showed you 3D views. Different, but it definitely looks archaeological to me. Would you people concur? John, would you concur? I mean, be honest. To me, I see it's all created.
So anyway,
closed? I don't think so.
Gary, thanks for joining us. I wanted to just wrap this up because we're trying to keep this short today. And let's toss it around the room. Does anybody have any comments on this, one way or the other?
Yep, I do. May I give my 2 cents worth?
They're all dumb stuff.
You know that NASA's actually called another site in the southern mid-latitudes Inca City. You familiar with that one, Gary? The Inca City.
Yeah, right off
It's like a boxed-in area.
Just outside the South Polar Cap.
Yes, yeah. They actually called it an Inca City.
Yeah, from far away, it's like, but they're trying to tell you something. And that's where Craig Worm's work comes in. He's found a lot of parabolas within that system and everything. It's quite incredible. And for the feats that we're seeing, Inca City, pun intended, being a work of creation rather than them mocking us because it's natural pareidolia bullshit. That could be done on massive size and scales, not just because of gravitational aspects of the planet. They can make larger structures, but they're also more advanced in their capabilities, whether you want to call it terraforming, planet carving, and other things that could establish themselves, and obviously is handiwork is seen in the heavens. My question is, everybody, before he cuts me off, whose handiwork?
Yeah. Are you done, John? You wanted to?
Yes, I'm done. Thanks, Dave.
Okay, because we got about 10 minutes or less. So, Ricardo, comments on the pyramid there.
Well, it's another fantastic example. This time given by Gary, as so many others, and to this one is so good. I don't even know what to say. It's there. But in matter of and Gary and John will help me with this. I think there's also it wasn't NASA to call it an Inca City. It was Hoagland or someone in his team. But there's another labeled Inca City in the Saigon region.
NASA launched onto that. They latched on.
Yeah, I see. So thank you for that, Gary. An extraordinary example. Yeah, and the crater makes sense what you say. Either the crater was already there when they built the pyramid, but not the other way around. Otherwise, the pyramid would not be in this shape, or even perhaps not even recognizable from the impact. So.
Thank you, Ricardo. I mean, he said it right at the beginning. It's self-explanatory. Oleg, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it looks very, very pyramidal and very straight lines. But I wonder how big it is and how either big the people there were, like giants, or maybe how advanced technology they had to build all of that. But yes, I think it looks very, very pyramidal.
It's 3 miles from corner to corner.
Wow.
It's huge.
That's astonishing.
From a meteoric impact. Holy crap. I doubt it. But let me just give you a sample of it, then I'll shut up, Brian, and everyone else. The next one I'm going to reveal is a pyramid inside of a crater with an entryway. Clear as day.
Can't wait. Looking forward to that one. Sarah.
I'm a little hung up on the crater. I'm convinced it's a pyramid. You don't got to convince me anymore. There's some strange ass shit going on Mars, and I don't know why it's there. That I'm sure. But I'm hung up on this crater that's beside it. and I hate to be like from the conspiracy realm. What if something in the pyramid attracted a space rock to that location? I mean, you have to consider every angle here. So my mind's brewing.
Missiles.
What's with the crater?
Yeah,
It's missiles.
I would agree. Megan, your take on that before we start wrapping?
Yeah, thanks to Gary for bringing that to us. I appreciated all the angles we got today. I feel like it was like a far more detailed look at maybe than any of the examples we've had so far. So that was really cool. Thank you for
not see them. You won't see them from NASA like that, though. They have the program to do it. They're doing it deliberately to make you think it's as flat and natural, as smooth and desert-like as possible. Bullshit. And I didn't tell you to say that.
Yeah. I'm definitely very, very open-minded to all of this stuff. And I just love seeing more examples and more details. And there's just less deniability the further we get down this rabbit hole. So thank you, Gary. Thank you.
Yeah, this is so much fun every time we do this, and I really enjoy it. Brian, will you put a period on today's episode as we start wrapping up here?
Guys, thanks for joining us as usual. We're happy we kept this one a little shorter than the last few have been. Look, we've got the great benefit of having people like Jean and Gary who are continually finding new things.
Thank you.
I can personally attest that, Jean has published a lot. Gary has just sort of started publishing some things. He's got dozens and dozens of other things that are equally as compelling. And as we go through them and as he publishes them, we'll be talking about them. But listen, thanks guys for listening in on all this presentation that we've had over the past month or so, couple months. From here, the format's probably going to just change it a little bit because now we can open up for discussion, maybe some other sorts of guests. I appreciate all your time and entertaining all these sorts of things. I think we're really building something here, so thank you.
Yeah, I agree. And I just want to again shout out the chat. It was hopping today. Love you guys. Really appreciate all the support. Let's go around the room quick and share where everyone can find you. Megan will flash up your info. Jean, where are you at?
Jean Ward on YouTube, Jean Ward Mars on X, and megalithic.mars.com. You can find my blog there. Thank you. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Appreciate your comments.
Awesome. Oleg, where are you at?
Just copy and paste my name and surname. You can find me on many other podcasts in English. Alexander Czeszkiewicz Global are my English social media, YouTube, Facebook, and others. And my book is Deja Vu, has everything already been. You can find it on Amazon. Again, just copy and paste my name and surname and you will easily find it. Thanks for having me on today. This was a great show and discussion.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that you could see a presentation from Oleg on my channel from a few weeks ago. It's a great interview. And I actually think Oleg's going to do a presentation for us here on Mars Disclosure Live in the next few weeks. So look forward to that. Sarah, doing the news every Sunday. Where can we find you?
You can find us on YouTube at Uni Unveiled and on X. Usually stream to X as well. It is at Uni Unveiled IFNP. And also, I want to take a second to direct everyone who's sharing their experiences over there. If you will join the Institute for Natural Philosophy Discord, there's conversations going on in there all the time. So come hang out.
Yeah, somebody was asking about that, so I put the Institute Discord on there, so I'm glad you mentioned. And I also want to shout out your co-host of Universe Unveiled, Jacqueline. We just dropped an interview with her on Friday. We talked about AI, as well as she gets into her thoughts on death and end of life, taken from 12 plus years of palliative care. Jacqueline is one of the smartest people I know, and she can talk about pretty much anything. And this was a very interesting conversation between two people who've been friends for 35 years, and you just got a glimpse into our regular, normal conversation. So go ahead and check it out. Megan, or no, Gary, where are you at?
Right here. I'm still here, I hope. Yeah, but again, at Morris Revealer on next, Morris Revealer 69 on CommieTube, YouTube. So help the channel go. Please, everyone, subscribe. I'm being shadow banned, but only like and subscribe to help the channel grow. You want to see more of what's coming? You ain't seen it yet. Rock on, everybody.
Awesome. I think we're all getting shadow banned a bit right now. But that's okay. Ricardo, where are you at, my friend?
So you can find me on X at RicardCalvary1. You can find me on YouTube as History, Myths and Legends from my personal channel, at the Institute for Natural Philosophy for the Shaman and the Philosopher, and the Round Table Chronicles, that we are going live today at my 2 p.m., which is, I think, 9 p.m. Central. So we'll have another discussion about forbidden ancient history of the Americas and the world in general.
Brian, where can they find you? Thanks, Ricardo.
Yeah, for those of you new to my work, please check out my film, blueplanetred.net. You can also find me on Twitter at Brian Corey Dobbs and on YouTube at Brian Corey Dobbs.
Awesome. And I just want to say all these people are extremely hardworking. Oleg is doing podcasts constantly. This is Sarah's second time going live today. Ricardo's going live today. I'm about to go live for my third time today, for the love of holy smokes. And we just did our Breaking Ancient News show. We're doing this. Brian, you can see Brian and I in about 15 minutes. Same channels. You can watch on his channel or my channel. So hardest working group in show business. Let's go. Let's fight the shadow ban. Megan, final words.
Just thanks. The chat, I could barely keep up with the chat today. I was awesome. I'm gonna need to watch back the episode to catch everything everybody said, because the chat was so active, and we're so grateful for that. That goes a long way.
Awesome. That's cool.
Good night, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Light, love, and truth.